Mark Linscott is one of the US's top trade negotiators. He's a senior advisor also to the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum, has dealt with trade negotiations for years. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Linscott. Over the last few days, we are all trying to read what is really on Donald Trump's mind. Instead, what we are seeing is tariffs after tariffs, escalating the tariff war further now. What, according to you, Mr. Linscott, is the US president trying to achieve here?
Well, I think the president's been clear, and in fact, his trade negotiator, his chief trade negotiator, the U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, yesterday on American television was clear that broadly the efforts are focused on reshoring manufacturing, addressing trade deficits, and I think additionally striking trade deals that can advance those interests. So those are the broad objectives that I've been seeing from the administration.
But many believe, especially with India in particular, that this trade deal was almost done. There would be a major announcement which would take the trade talks to the next level by the 1st of August. Now, what are we hearing from Donald Trump? He's poking India virtually every day. He's even suggested India is a dead economy. Is this all pressure tactics, a negotiating tactic by a president who's seen to be a deal maker above all else?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of factors. I certainly was one of those several weeks ago who was confident that there would be a trade deal struck before August 1st. Obviously, I got that wrong. Many of us got that wrong. In fact, there had been plenty of signals from the administration, from the president down, that a deal with India was very, very close. One thing that didn't happen, and it's a bit unfortunate that it didn't happen, was that there was not that very high level, that president to prime minister communication before August 1st with each of these trade deals that President Trump has done, whether it's with European Union, Japan, South Korea, etc. There's been that high level conversation and final sealing of the deal when those trade deals were concluded. So I think that was a factor. Certainly the broader context is important as well. I was surprised that there was a posting by the president on Truth Social about purchases of Russian oil, and then a repeated reference to the BRICS nations and actions by the BRICS nations. Hopefully that's just context, and it's not going to prevent continuing efforts to try to strike a trade deal.
From what you're saying, Mr. Linscott, there is that you seem to suggest that there is Linscott, that there is a need for direct talks between the US President and Prime Minister Modi. Do you believe that if these trade talks are to get on track, that is absolutely essential? This can no longer be brought back on track simply at the level of the negotiators. It will need the principals to talk to each other, Prime Minister Modi and the US President.
Well, it's hard to say now. I mean, that if it were to occur, it should have occurred 2 weeks ago. And that's when President Trump was striking all of these last minute trade deals. Now the tariffs have been imposed. The reciprocal tariffs are in place. And I think we are in a bit of a different environment at this point in time. I think what's most important in coming days and perhaps even coming weeks is that there's a cooling off period, that there's an opportunity to clear the air. President Trump did make some posts that were quite provocative. It perhaps needs a little time at this point in time. And I think both sides at the senior levels, not necessarily at the leader level, are still planning to continue the negotiations. The aspiration is for a much larger bilateral trade agreement. And there have been plenty of reports that a USTR team will be coming to Delhi at the end of August to continue those negotiations. So I think that things can get back on track. It may take more than a few days. It may take a couple of weeks. At some point in time, that kind of communication is probably going to be important. They have a strong relationship, Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. So at some point in time, I expect that conversation should take place.
There is one view, though, Mr. Linscott, that India must start talking tough now with Washington. That India has to look at the Trump administration in the eye because of what Financial Times calls the taco factor. Trump always chickens out. A Bloomberg report even claims India may decline an F-35 defense deal. Is that a wise decision to look at the Americans in the eye? Does India need to do what China has done, to some extent Canada did, that actually take on the United States? Do we have that leverage?
I don't think that would be the right move at this point. Again, I think what is very important is that there's a cooling off period. If there were some kind of retaliatory action or commentary that is very provocative in response, I think that could in fact set back efforts. I don't think it would be effective in terms of the ultimate goal of reaching trade deals. It's quite likely that the president would respond to that. He's done that over and over again. Every time a country has threatened to retaliate or retaliated, he has responded in kind. He's upped the ante, and that's exactly what we don't need at this point in time. And this taco kind of analysis, I think isn't quite right. I mean, the president on August 1st, on Friday, on Thursday night, in fact, here in Washington, did announce tariffs. They take effect on August 8th, but I'm quite confident those tariffs will come into place. So at this point in time, I think tit for tat is not the right approach.
One final question, Mr. Linscott. You said you were proven wrong earlier, that you were hopeful of a deal by the 1st of August. That didn't happen. If I may push you on this, do you believe that a deal will come by the end of autumn, by October? Because that was the original plan, that we'll have a full-blown trade deal with the United States by October. Do you see that likely to happen, given the kind of stand that the US president is taking at the moment?
That's a really good question. I've made some predictions in the past. I've been wrong with those predictions, so I'm a little hesitant to make new predictions. The two leaders back in February, when Prime Minister Modi was here in Washington, they pledged to negotiate a comprehensive bilateral trade agreement, and they agreed that a first tranche of results for that negotiation would be in place by the fall, meaning roughly October. So if we don't have a more immediate deal on reciprocal tariffs, I think we should all look ahead to that kind of time frame. What can be the early results for the bilateral trade agreement, which is likely a negotiation that will continue to take some time through the end of this year and into early next year for the comprehensive agreement. But ideally, we'll see some early results by October.
Mr. Linscott, for joining me there, giving us the benefit of your wisdom. I appreciate you taking the time off, joining me there from Washington, D.C. Clearly, this is now possibly a need for a cooling off period as the temperature escalates between India and the United States over trade.